Radio 77 WABC. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. 5 o'clock. Good morning. It is Friday, January 31st. Wow, it's already the last day of January. Or no, today. Yeah, it is the 31st. Your forecast. That's crazy. January went fast. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Rain this morning and then some showers this afternoon. The high going to be 43. And then your weekend, well, it looks like this. Saturday, sunshine, high 40. Sunday, cloudy, high 37. If you are walking out the door with us right now, it is 35 and cloudy in Bronxville up in Westchester County. It's 31 and cloudy in Emerson over in New Jersey. And we're having a little bit of light rain outside our studios, and it's 37 degrees. Boy, we have a lot to get to as we work our way up. 6 o'clock hour, sit-in friends in the morning. Of course, all the talk over the last 24 hours is the crash between an American Airlines flight and a military helicopter. A preliminary FAA report reveals that staffing at the air traffic control tower was not normal during this mid-air collision right near Reagan National Airport. Multiple reports cite a source saying staffing was not normal. There was one person doing the job of two people on Wednesday night.
We have not reviewed any specific reports about the controllers at this time, at least from the leadership team.
The NTSB's Todd Inman says investigators continue to collect information on tower personnel. According to this one source, the tower typically has a controller focused on helicopter traffic, another checking both on airplane and helicopter activity. And maybe they were short a couple people yesterday or on Wednesday night.
Our investigators are continuing to pull all that information. Their personnel records, their files, where they were at, whether they were fatigued. All that information will be part of that investigative process.
And we listened to federal investigators yesterday as they said they would leave no stone unturned in this investigation. National Transportation Safety Board giving this update, this was yesterday, on this crash that killed 67 people. It was 64 on the American Airlines flight from Wichita, Kansas, 3 aboard the Black Hawk helicopter.
As we are able to confirm factual information, we will provide that. I do want to say this is a whole of government effort. We are all here because this is an all-hands on-deck event. We are going to conduct a thorough investigation of this entire tragedy, looking at the facts.
And we're starting to get a sense of who was killed in this tragedy. And the stories are going to be heartbreaking. I mean, they already are. 14 figure skaters were killed in the crash. USA ice skating legend Nancy Kerrigan. She is one of the people who works at the Skating Club of Boston. Of course, you remember Nancy Kerrigan, such a great skater. And she knew some of these kids that were skating. Some of the adults, of course, the family members, too, had gone to Wichita, Kansas for this skating camp, essentially. And she talked about the fact that her club lost some skaters in the crash.
I feel for the athletes, the skaters, and their families, but anyone that was on that plane, not just the skaters, because it's just such a tragic event.
National Development Camp, by the way, is what it's called in Wichita, Kansas. Also on board, we heard about the Russian World Skater Champions, the couple that had won the championships back in 1994, and they had spent their lives, as so many ex-professional skaters do, teaching other skaters, the next generation. Here's more from Nancy Kerrigan.
We've been through tragedies before as Americans, as people, and we are strong.
And what we've learned from the figure skating community is that it's a small community, by the way, and everybody kind of knows each other, and that's why this is all so devastating. Doug Lane, his son Spencer and his wife were on board this plane from Wichita. He was Spencer's all of 16 years old, had only started up skating a couple years ago. They had adopted Spencer from South Korea. And Melissa, and again, the names are continue to come in, and we will continue to honor their memories. Another one was Melissa Jane Nincardi. She's from Brooklyn. We just found out last night her parents saying that she was aboard this plane. And the head of the Hackensack Ice House, this is a famous ice skating rink in Hackensack, he knew a lot of these people who were on the plane, and he was talking about this yesterday.
Two friends of mine that have been coaching for years and years from Connecticut, who I even competed against in the 1980s, were on that flight. Their son actually is a very high-level competitive skater, and the thought of him being orphaned and knowing him from the day he was born it makes you.
Yeah. Okay, so Craig was talking about Evgenia Shishkova and her husband Vadim, who were that Russian couple. He says those skaters, a lot of them train at his ice house or have trained at his ice house. And, of course, he says his kids at his ice house in Hackensack have competed against the skaters from Boston. That's why he says the community's small and they kind of all root each other on.
And the fact that we're not going to see these people ever again at competitions after we've seen them all the time it's probably too early right now to even understand. I don't think I've been impacted enough, but just the initial shock is we're really sad.
So Samuel Lilly, he was the first officer on board the American Airlines flight, the 5342, and his sister was speaking out yesterday. Again, every one of these stories is just going to be awful. He was engaged to get married. And so you can imagine how excited the family was and how devastated they are. Now, the family of Ian Epstein, he was the flight attendant on board 5342. His family speaking out last night, saying he was a cherished father, a husband, a brother, a stepfather. The family of Elizabeth Keyes, she was a Washington-based attorney who had caught this early flight home. She wasn't supposed to be on this plane, to go on a date for her birthday with her boyfriend. And so he was speaking out last night saying that she was a kind of person who always pushed you to be the best version of yourself. And, of course, as more of these stories about these loved ones who perished in this crash come out, we will pass them on to you. WABC News Time 5:08. Now that we talked about some of the victims of this plane crash, let's try to figure out what took place. President Trump holding a press conference yesterday saying that the lack of ability may be to blame for the plane crash in D.C.
Incompetence might have played a role. We'll let you know that. But we want the most competent people. We don't care what race they are. We want the most competent people. On behalf of the First Lady, myself, and 340 million Americans, our hearts are shattered alongside yours, and our prayers are with you now and in the days to come. Because over the years I've watched as things like this happen, and they say, well, we're always investigating, and then the investigation 3 years later, they announce it. We think we have some pretty good ideas.
Yeah, so, he's saying he wants answers sooner than later, which is a good thing. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says his department is actively investigating the crash between a military helicopter and that American Airlines flight.
It's a tragedy, a horrible loss of life for those 64 souls on that civilian airliner, and, of course, the 3 soldiers in that Black Hawk.
The Army says the Black Hawk helicopter was on a routine training mission when that crash took place.
The 12th Aviation Battalion, as of now, is granted a 48-hour operational pause on contingency missions as what happened is reviewed. The unit involved, the Army unit involved, was Bravo Company 12th Aviation Battalion at Fort Belvoir. It was an annual proficiency training flight.
Now, so there wasn't any specific blame laid on anybody in any of those press conferences, but the head of American Airlines is blaming the Army after the Black Hawk helicopter flew into the path of the jet. And pilot Keith McKay, he's an airline safety and accident investigation expert. He says there may just have been a communication problem.
It would appear that the helicopter pilot was on a different radio frequency than the airplane pilot, so they may not have heard the conversations to each other. The airplane may not have been aware of the helicopter's presence at all.
And Mackey says the helicopter pilot may have known the plane was nearby nearby, but just picked the wrong one to pass behind.
So all these things are going to come out as we unfold the cockpit voice recorder and the radar tracks and overlay everything and see how it all played out. Visually, he wants to be directed to pass behind them. But if you've got it in sight, you should be able to handle passing behind the aircraft without any difficulty. Perhaps he selected the wrong one to pass behind.
And, of course, I think all of us have had this thought over the last 24 hours after just feeling terrible for the families is it safe to fly? Which the truth is it really is. But you had travelers at airports across the country, some of them delayed, of course, by the fact that Reagan National was closed for part of the day, wondering the same thing.
I saw people sitting next to me, looking it up as well and trying to figure out what was going on. It's honestly terrifying. I'm still in shock that this happened, how close it was.
Yeah, so recovery efforts, by the way, still underway, trying to retrieve all of the bodies and all of the plane and helicopter parts so they can do their investigation. 5:12, let's go back down to Washington. President Trump says 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico are coming Saturday for a number of reasons.
Number one is the people that have poured into our country so horribly and so much. Number two are the drugs, fentanyl, and everything else that have come into the country. And number three are the massive subsidies that we're giving to Canada and to Mexico in the form of deficits.
Now, Trump says he hasn't decided if oil imports would be included. Canada supplied half of oil imports to the U.S. in 2023, while Mexico made up 11%. There's a little more from him.
So we'll be announcing the tariffs on Canada and Mexico for a number of reasons. Number one is the people that have poured into our country so horribly and so much. Number two are the drugs, fentanyl, and everything else that have come into the country. And number three are the massive subsidies that we're giving to Canada and to Mexico in the form of deficits.
Yeah, I think we heard that twice. President Trump, meanwhile, you heard that he was threatening to send illegal immigrants to Guantanamo Bay, some 30,000 potentially, and some members of Congress jumping on board. They say this is a good idea. Here's Congressman Chip Roy out of Texas.
We want these dangerous individuals to be kept somewhere, not on our streets.
The Texas Republican says that plan of sending migrants to Guantanamo Bay is both creative and innovative.
The president is right. Let's put him in Guantanamo.
All right, 5:13. Lots of hearings yesterday for the appointees that Donald Trump would like to have in his cabinet. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. trying to reassure a Senate committee that was talking to him that he is not anti-vaccine.
News reports and many in the hearing yesterday have claimed that I'm anti-vaccine and anti-industry. Well, I'm neither.
This was his second day of his confirmation hearings. The nominee for Health and Human Services Secretary says he's pro-safety and pro-good science. Says he's worked for years to raise awareness about mercury and other toxins in fish.
I worked for 40 years to raise awareness about mercury and other toxics in fish, and nobody called me anti-fish.
Senator Bernie Sanders says RFK Jr. that vaccines do not cause autism. Apparently, RFK Jr. has said that in the past.
Do you agree with that?
As I said, I'm not going to go into HHS with any preordained.
I ask you a simple question, Bobby. The studies all over the world say it does not. What do you think?
Kennedy was interrupted a number of times by Sanders, asked what he thought about studies that show these vaccines. He wanted him to say what he had said in the past, that these vaccines potentially cause autism. By the way, I've seen no science that says that's true.
Senator, if you show me those studies, I will absolutely, as I promised to Chairman Cassidy, I will apologize.
That is a very troubling response because the studies are there. Your job was to have looked at those studies as an applicant for this job.
Tulsi Gabbard, she was also on Capitol Hill for her confirmation hearing to become Director of National Intelligence. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Friday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Friday. Good morning to you, Noam Laden. We'll start here with the NHL and the ice in Philly. Elias Sorokin made 23 saves for his third shutout of the season. Mark Gatcomb scored his first NHL goal, and the Islanders won their sixth straight game with a 3-0 victory over the Flyers. Holmstrom and Palmieri also scored for New York, who leapfrogged the Flyers and the Idle Rangers in the Metropolitan Division standings and are 3 points out of a wild card spot. It was the 21st career shutout for Sorokin, who won his fifth straight game and has allowed just 4 goals in that span. New York has outscored opponents 21-7 during its streak. They have been relying on their defense and goaltending during this January resurgence. The Islanders have held their opponents to 2 goals or fewer in 10 of 12 games this month. Coming up next for the Streaking Isles, a date in Tampa Bay against the Lightning tomorrow night at 7 p.m. In the way of additional ice hockey to look forward to this weekend, the Rangers will drop a 3:30 p.m. puck in Boston tomorrow against the Bruins. Looking forward to the weekend on the NBA hardwood as well. The Nets will visit the Houston Rockets tomorrow night at 8 p.m. before the Knicks return to action at home against the LA Lakers for an 8:30 p.m. tip-off tomorrow night. And lastly, out of the NFL, the 2025 Pro Bowl games got underway in Orlando, Florida last night, kicking off a 4-day skills competition with a non-contact flag football game closing out the week on Sunday. Before those festivities got underway, allegations sprung out of Baltimore regarding Ravens kicker Justin Tucker. Tucker is being accused of inappropriate sexual behavior by 6 massage therapists in the Baltimore area, according to an investigation by the Baltimore Banner. Tucker's conduct, according to the article, caused some therapists to refuse to work with him again and resulted in 2 spas banning him from returning. The allegations reportedly occurred between 2012 and 2016, which were Tucker's first 5 seasons in the NFL. About an hour after the Banner's article was posted, Tucker called the allegations, quote, unequivocally false in a lengthy response on social media. That is your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 519. Let's go back down to Washington. Former Hawaii Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard's Senate confirmation hearing in D.C. She wants, of course, to become the Director of National Intelligence. She spoke about her review before this committee yesterday on National Security Agency whistleblower Edward Snowden.
I do not agree with or support with all of the information and intelligence that he released, nor the way in which he did it.
Lawmakers who oppose her nomination, they cite her decision to meet with a Syrian dictator back in 2017 in her views on Ukraine and more.
In the short time that I have, Senator, I will just note that my actions in legislation in Congress were done to draw attention to the egregious civil liberties violations that were occurring at that time.
The 43-year-old has no background in intelligence operations. If she is confirmed, she would be in charge of overseeing the nation's 18 spy agencies. Kash Patel, he went before senators. He wants to be selected to lead the FBI.
Sitting here today,
All right. Nothing's working on my audio here. I apologize.
The hopes of millions of Americans.
I'm going to stop for a second. I've asked 100 times to have my computer fixed. So if you're hearing the glitches, it's not me. It's just that my computer has not been fixed. I've asked hundreds of times. It's always fun to start my day at 2:45 knowing after I pull all this stuff that you might not hear it all. But I'm going to try it again. Here's Kash Patel. He's going before senators as he's been selected to lead the FBI.
Sitting here today, I carry not only the dreams of my parents, but also the hopes of millions of Americans who stand for justice, fairness, and the rule of law.
And then he spoke about his family's history.
My father fled Idi Amin's genocidal dictatorship in Uganda, where 300,000 men, women, and children were killed based on their ethnicity, just because they happen to look like me.
And Patel says the actions needed to be taken by the FBI are pretty clear.
The public trust can only be restored if there is full transparency.
And he did speak for a moment about the plane crash in D.C.
I pray for their families. I pray for law enforcement and military personnel. And I pray for their souls. And hopefully God will find them peace in the near future.
Yeah, 521. Let's go out to California. Victims of the Eaton fire say they've been left in limbo while all the attention has been focused on the Palisades fire. Donnie Kinsley, he lost his house and his business to the fire in Altadena, and he says he and his neighbors know they've been underrepresented in Los Angeles County.
We don't have a mayor in Altadena, and it's scary seeing the coverage, seeing that the Eaton fires aren't a priority, even though we lost double the structures that other places have lost.
Yeah, so Kinsey spoke a part of this roundtable discussion with civic leaders, also included Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. All these people, of course, trying to figure out their way forward after losing their homes.
The area has changed a lot. People have grabbed as much property as possible, and I was just afraid that once the houses are gone and the properties are vacant, the vultures will swoop in and try and steal these properties.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the word is. A lot of these residents say they don't know if they can afford to rebuild, and they have these people coming in saying, hey, I'll buy your piece of property.
From what I've seen with my friends and their parents, yes, they're getting offers early and, low bids on their properties. I am afraid that it could be lost. I'm afraid that the people who have property here will not retain ownership.
522. Two eaglets found dead in southwestern Florida have tested positive for bird flu. Boy, we've done a lot of these bird flu stories over the last couple of weeks. The 100,000 ducks that had to be euthanized out on Long Island in the Hudson Valley. Same sort of thing. The number's not as high, but birds had to be put to death because of their bird flu. And now these eaglets in southwestern Florida.
We received notification that the two eaglets tested positive for HPAI.
That's a veteran down in Florida. She works with the Center for Rehabilitation of Wildlife. She says eagles, other birds of prey, can get the flu by eating an infected bird. The two eaglets died within days of each other. Two adults remain in the nest and also could be infected.
The current strain of avian influenza being transmitted is a highly pathogenic form of the H5N1 virus, which has caused devastating losses in the birds it affects.
Yeah, so H5N1, that strain of the virus, is highly contagious for birds, and especially birds of prey. And so far, there have been birds who've given the flu to humans, but there's been no human-to-human transmission, which, of course, is the thing people are most worried about.
Individuals who work very closely with these animals or animals that are infected are a higher at risk, as well as individuals that are immunocompromised.
Yeah, so we'll continue to watch that. 524, while we're talking birds, animals, California researchers from UC Davis and elsewhere have set out to determine whether communication with a humpback whale can teach us how to talk to extraterrestrials. Dr. Fred Sharp says the interaction was designed to eventually help detect and interpret signals coming from outer space.
We can develop ideas like, is this a hello? Is it a goodbye? Is it an aggressive signal?
Yes, so researchers visited the waters of Southeast Alaska, where scientists believe they recorded what might be the very first human-whale communication. The whale was able not only to match the pre-recorded sound that was played, but also matched the tempo when it was played. 524, NASCAR fans will have a new way of watching races now.
On Thursday, TNT Sports unveiled the NASCAR Driver Cam experience. It'll be available to subscribers of Max and will give viewers an inside view of the driver's car as the race goes on. Folks will have up to 40 drivers to choose from and can also listen to the team's radio channel or the ambient noise. The feature will be available for all NASCAR Cup Series races, with it debuting Sunday. The Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray. I'm Matt Mattinson.
HSN, the home shopping channel, which was born in Florida. Do you remember how big HSN was for a while? Back when people had cable, so many people have cut their cord and don't have it anymore. So they're closing their studios in the Tampa Bay area where they've been for 40 years. And one of the original hosts, of course, upset that they're moving. They're actually moving their operations to Pennsylvania.
Over 6,000 people at that time. So it's definitely had an impact, not just on the area, but it's had an impact on the world.
Yes, it's not clear if those people who work for HSN now, it's not as big as it once was, but it's still an operation there, will lose their jobs, or whether they will follow HSN to Westchester, Pennsylvania. They're going to actually combine with QVC, which is the other shopping network, and become one outfit.
We were doing that way back in the early 80s. We were engaging the viewer. We were interactive.
Yeah, he says the HSN and the QVC were the initial social media influencers that get people to buy all kinds of products. 526, Marian Faithfull, who sang the 60 hits As Tears Go By, passed away yesterday at the age of 78.
It is the evening of the day. I sit and watch the children play.
The British singer, songwriter, and actress died Thursday in London, according to her spokesperson. The cause of death was not released, but Faithfull revealed in 2006 she had breast cancer. Faithfull's As Tears Go By spent 9 weeks on the Billboard charts in 1964 and 65, peaking at number 9. The Rolling Stones did their own version of the song, and Faithfull ended up having a long relationship with Stones lead singer Mick Jagger. I'm Lisa Taylor.
Talk Radio 77 WABC. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me, 5:34. Good morning. It is Friday, January 31st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Rain this morning, then we'll get a little bit of break midday, and then showers this afternoon. Going to be a little warmer than it has been, high 43. And then the weekend, it looks like this. Saturday, sunshine, high 40. Sunday, cloudy, high 37. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are, it's 35 and cloudy in Bronxville up in Westchester County, 31 and cloudy in Emerson over in New Jersey, and it's 38 and light rain right outside our Midtown studios. We'll start this half hour right here in Midtown, where, of course, congestion pricing has been in place for almost a month now. Now, the question is it on life support? You remember President Trump said during the campaign that he would get rid of congestion pricing. And what CBS is reporting, which is awfully interesting, is that President Trump and Governor Kathy Hochul have spoken twice in the past week about ending congestion pricing. And during these phone conversations, apparently Governor Hochul told the president, tried to convince him that the program's making a big difference in New York, not only raising much-needed cash for the MTA and its aging transportation system, but reducing traffic and speeding commutes. So she says, I don't want to get rid of it. And according to the MTA, we've given you some of these stats that travel times on inbound bridges and tunnels are like 30% faster. The commute time in the congestion zone is faster as well. But there are lots of people pushing back, of course, against the fee, the $9, which is a lot of money to come into the city if you're somebody who has to come between the hours of 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. at night. So Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis, she represents, of course, Staten Island, parts of Brooklyn, one of the people who's trying to kill this $9 deal and hoping the president will do that.
He has directed his DOT to look at legal options to see what could be done from the federal level.
Lawmakers from New Jersey, Long Island, the northern suburbs have been vigorously opposing this plan, tried to repeatedly stop it with lawsuits that did not work. Congressman Mike Lawler, though, thinks the president could help here.
I believe it's imperative that this program be stopped. It is adversely impacting commuters.
Now, so you get a whole bunch of thing across the board from drivers. Chances are, if you're actually listening to me and you're coming into the city, and there's a lot of you, which is great, is that you're trying to beat the toll by getting in between like 4:30 and 5 o'clock, so you only have to pay $2.25 instead of $9. So we're seeing a little bit of a rise in that early commute. But the people who can't make that early commute say $9, of course, is way too much money.
I would love for President Trump to bring down the congestion pricing. Joe? It's cost me extra every day.
Yeah, Danny Pearlstein, he's with the Riders Alliance. He says he'll fight to make sure that congestion pricing stays in place.
3,000 fewer cars on the road. Traffic is moving 10 to 30% faster. In fact, at the Holland Tunnel, it's moving 48% faster. Who would want to give that up?
Yeah, I can't tell a lie here. I mean, for me anyway. All right, it's $2.25 a day, so that's 2 times 5, that's 10, 11, is that 11.50 a week? I'm terrible with math, that's why I work in radio. Anyway, it might be worth it because my commute time is unbelievably fast now. I'm getting home in like 25, 30 minutes. 5:37, I want to hear from Joe. Traffic, transit on the 7s. Joe, are you seeing any sort of early commute in this like 5 o'clock hour that people are trying to beat the toll?
No, it isn't really any different at all. I mean, right now, there's no delay at the Lincoln and Holland Tunnels, George Washington Bridge. That's where it would be. I mean, there's nothing, at least at this point. So, I mean, the deal is it has helped in Manhattan. There's no doubt about it. I don't think it's really done much at all in the outer boroughs. But I mean, it has. It definitely has. And again, like I said, I'm waiting to hear the New Jersey Transit ridership. Are people staying home? Are they staying in office, going to offices their companies have in Jersey or on the island or up in Connecticut? I mean, where did they go? They just didn't stop working.
No,
they're somewhere.
So you think bosses are maybe letting people work from home?
I think so. I think I'm sure that's going to end up being part of it. I'm sure part of it is also A lot of it probably on the trains. But again, we got to wait until a little while longer to find those numbers out from Jersey Transit, at least, to see what they are.
What's interesting, by the way, that the president talking directly to the governor, this according to CBS, that he's had 2 conversations, and he said that he called her because he wanted to let her know that he wanted to get rid of it and wanted to hear her argument about keeping it. And then there was a second phone call. So I wonder what that second phone call was about. Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, it's interesting just that he even called her.
Yeah, right, exactly. WABC News Time 5:40. Mayor Adams, we saw him again yesterday for the first time since Sunday. Did not tell us why he was out of the spotlight, what was ailing him. Of course, his own spokesman said that he was fighting some sort of health issue. So yesterday he reappeared, the mayor did, attending the annual State of the NYPD address in Midtown, and then he hosted the New York Public Library's annual Interfaith Breakfast.
Last week was a scary week for me. It was hard. I'm not going to lie to you. And you got to trust in God.
The mayor reflecting that he's looked to God in recent days, but he didn't go into any details about the health issues. Indicated last year, he was indicted last year on federal corruption charges. Also reacted to the speculation that he was going to resign. He said it was a stupid rumor.
Who started the stupid rumor that I was stepping down on Friday? Are you out of your mind?
Mayor Adams was back today.
Oh, jeez, what is going on with my sound here?
They burn candles, they light incense, they say prayers, they do everything they can. Is he gone yet? No, he's not. No, he's not.
And Mayor Adams blasting those judging him as anti-immigrant.
What you did for 220,000 migrants and asylum seekers in this city to hear people say we are anti-immigrant, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind?
Our very own Rabbi Joe Potasnik, who, of course, has a great show on Sunday mornings. He was part of this prayer event that took place in Midtown. And here was his take on Mayor Adams.
When we pray for 2 kinds of strength, physical and spiritual. And I saw a mayor today who was physically strong, but spiritually strong as well.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch the mayor. He spoke for about 25 minutes. This event had no notes. And as you heard, he slammed a lot of his critics for suggesting that he was going to step down. He said there could be nothing further from the truth. Now, this is going on. As we've been hearing, the Department of Justice could be dropping those federal bribery charges against the mayor. A lot of New Yorkers weighing in on that.
It's a bad move. He should pay for what he's doing.
Of course, it bothers me because I think that, you didn't fully go through with an investigation.
The mayor needs to address those charges, right? And I think the way they did with the president, I think that same thing is going to happen with Mayor Adams.
Yeah, a lot of his constituents here in New York City talking about the fact that Mayor Adams has met with President Trump, showed up at the inauguration, and they say it's about looking for a pardon and hoping that this case will go away, this bribery case that's set to start in April.
The politicians, this is what they all do. He got caught. Guess what? He's playing it smart. He's playing nice with Trump in the sandbox, and he's going to get it off. That's called politics.
Donald Trump is a businessman. Businessmen cut deals. No one will never know what did Mayor Adams offer him. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah. So Mayor Adams, of course, accused of taking gifts, other goods in exchange for expediting the approval for the Turkish consulate here in the city.
I don't think any public servant should be taking any gifts or anything like that from any foreign governments. It just doesn't look right. Even if it's harmless, it's just, the optics just doesn't look good.
Let's not lie about this. We got people that have been in office for years. And guess what? They're as corrupt can be.
Yeah, so that trial going to, again, begin in April unless the court case suddenly goes away. So far, we haven't heard that it is. It's just rumors that it might. 543 award now being offered to help catch those joyriders who stole a subway over the weekend.
The Transit Workers Union is offering a $3,500 reward to locate the joyriders who stole a Queens subway train. Police are still searching for the 16s who took the empty R train from a Forest Hills storage yard last Saturday night. MTA Chair Jano Lieber is not amused.
I'm burned about this for our riders and for all of us. Failure of security, failure of the supervision, the monitoring process.
The NYPD has released video showing the teens in masks and hoods taking the R train to the 36th Street station in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Crime Stoppers is also offering a reward. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 544. Let's go out to Long Island. The arson squad investigating what led to a deadly early morning house fire there. Suffolk County Police say the flames broke out about 1:30 a.m. Thursday morning. It trapped 3 people inside this home. It was North Windsor Avenue in Bayshore.
It was a blaze. It was all completely bright, the whole street, like it's never been at night, and everybody was screaming, trying to wake people up to get them out of their houses.
That's one of the neighbors. The house collapsed and a woman inside was killed. 2 men inside taken to the hospital. They're said to be okay. 2 firefighters suffering minor injuries battling this blaze.
Luckily, we have really good neighbors who were looking out for us, and my mom and my sister were able to get out without an issue. So now it's just waiting to find out what's going to happen with the house.
Yeah, thank God for those neighbors who banged on the door, screamed and yelled to wake up family members.
It looked like, actually, like the California fires at one point. That's how the flames were so high. It was, I don't know even what to say. I'm like shell-shocked still.
Yeah, arson squad was on the scene all day yesterday trying to put it all together. 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk and Justin Allen.
Well, thank you, Noel Molayden. We'll start here with the ice in Philly. Elias Sorokin made 23 saves for his 3rd shutout of the season. Mark Gatcomb scored his first NHL goal, and the Islanders won their 6th straight game with a 3-0 victory over the Flyers. Holmstrom and Palmieri also scored for the Owls, who leapfrogged the Flyers and the Idle Rangers in the Metropolitan Division standings and are 3 points out of a wild card spot. It was the 21st career shutout for Sorokin, who won his 5th straight game and has allowed just 4 goals in that span. New York has outscored opponents 21-7 during its streak. They've been relying on their defense and goaltending during this January resurgence. The Islanders have held their opponents to 2 goals or fewer in 10 of 12 games this month. Coming up next for the Streaking Owls, a date in Tampa Bay against the Lightning tomorrow night at 7 p.m. In the way of additional ice hockey to look forward to this weekend, the Rangers will drop a 3:30 p.m. puck in Boston tomorrow against the Bruins. Looking forward to the weekend on the NBA hardwood as well. The Nets will visit the Houston Rockets tomorrow night at 8 p.m. before the Knicks return to action at home against the LA Lakers for an 8:30 p.m. tip-off. And lastly, out of the NFL, the 2025 Pro Bowl games got underway in Orlando, Florida last night, kicking off a 4-day skills competition with a non-contact flag football game closing out the week on Sunday. Before those festivities got underway, allegations sprung out of Baltimore regarding Ravens kicker Justin Tucker. Tucker is being accused of inappropriate sexual behavior by 6 massage therapists in the Baltimore area, according to an investigation by the Baltimore Banner. Tucker's conduct, according to the article, caused some therapists to refuse to work with him again and resulted in 2 spas banning him from returning. The allegations reportedly occurred between 2012 and 2016. 2012 and 2016, which were Tucker's first 5 seasons in the NFL. About an hour after the Banner's article was posted, Tucker called the allegations, quote, unequivocally false in a lengthy response on social media. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. An awfully interesting case that could take place in Brooklyn. Norma Nazario, her son Zachary Nazario, was killed in a subway surfing accident in 2023. He was 15 years old at the time, and when she looked through his phone after he was killed, she realized that he was taking those videos of him subway surfing and posting them on social media sites, and they were getting huge numbers because those videos tend to do that. And so she says, of course, she says, I shoulder some of the blame for the fact that I didn't know what my son was up to. But she also says the addictive nature of Meta and TikTok was part of the reason that her son did this subway surfing, and they should shoulder some of the blame for it as well, that the addictive natures of these platforms, of kids looking for likes and comments on their video, is part of the reason he continued to subway surf even though he knew it was dangerous and could be deadly. So now she's suing both TikTok and Meta. The question is, will this case go forward? And that was what the judge was trying to decide in Brooklyn yesterday. Here's Norma for yesterday.
Hopefully the judge will understand my laws. I didn't hear in there any fault of taking any fault on my laws or other parents' laws.
Social media companies, they had their lawyers in court yesterday saying, no, it doesn't work that way. We shouldn't be blamed for it. And they're trying to get the judge to throw out this case. But Norma, of course, had a lawyer by her side making the argument that no, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, all these different platforms have addictive qualities, and that teenagers can't handle that, and that they should change their ways.
They know that their products are addicting kids. They know that their products are resulting in highly dangerous activities.
Yeah, I think this case is really fascinating, especially if the judge decides there's something here and lets this case go on. I guess I'll make a decision in the coming weeks. Awful story out of Jersey City. We don't have a whole lot more about this except that a man is in custody after allegedly stabbing two small children and a woman to death inside a Jersey City apartment. This was early yesterday morning. And neighbors near this home talking about what they heard as police walked into this apartment to find these three, the mother and the two young kids, 5 and 9 years old, unconscious on the floor with stab wounds.
They were just screaming, and I heard the glass breaking. Like, I knew this was something like big. And I saw blood on the floor, and I saw them carry out a girl, like, unconscious.
And authorities say the suspect in this case, this man, he tried stabbing himself after killing the woman and the two young kids, but he was unsuccessful. He survived.
Yeah, there was some screaming going on because that's when the activities, I guess there was some discovery of the kids and the mom, and there was some screaming outside.
Now, the Hudson County prosecutor, who's notoriously tight-lipped, did not give us a whole lot of information on this. We did know that he's not connected. Those two kids are not his kids. We don't know a relationship between the man and the woman, but they called this a crime that was domestic in nature. Neighbors responding to that as well.
I saw blood on the floor, and I saw them carry out a girl, like, unconscious, like, from the lower level.
Yeah, now Mayor Fulop, the mayor of Jersey City, calling it a terrible triple homicide connected to domestic violence. The Hoboken train path station officially closed at midnight. It'll be closed for 25 days. They have to do all kinds of repairs that go all the way back to Superstorm Sandy, and then they're going to make just the station nicer, apparently. So for the next 25 days, something like 25,000 commuters who go through that path station are going to have to find another way to get in and out of the city.
I have no idea. I'll just find an alternate way to get into the city, that's all.
I'm going to walk to the Newport Center.
Well, I'm just going to take the bus. Yeah, it'll be a little crazy, but as long as they run them more often, it'll be fine.
A little bit frustrating here and there, hoping it sticks to the month timeline and we're back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so a lot of these riders said they had asked their bosses to work remotely for the next month. The upside, I would say, of this is they've reduced the ferry, the New York waterway that gets you from the Jersey side to the New York City side. Normally it's like $9 or $10 each way. Now, because they made a deal apparently with New Jersey Transit, and it'll be $3 each way, which is the same price as taking the path trains for the next 25 days. And what a way to go to work on the ferry. There's nothing better. In West Caldwell, New Jersey, police looking for an armed man who put a homeowner in just a terrifying situation this week. Police say this homeowner, he was woken to see burglars breaking into his home. It was about 4:30 in the morning through a sliding glass door. When he confronted these thieves, asked them what the hell they were doing in his home, they used tape to bind his wrists and his ankles. They then, at gunpoint, stole cash and collectibles from his home. And then they said, hey, hand over the keys. We want your car as well. And they drove off in his 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. The neighbors hearing about this, of course, awfully frightened.
To hear something like this happened was definitely shocking. I'm pretty new to the neighborhood. I know this area to be safe. That's why I chose this area.
Now, we've seen a lot of these crimes lately. More times than not, these thieves are looking for the keys to high-priced cars. So they want to break in. They know the keys normally are near the front door. They grab those keys, walk out. They don't really want to confront anybody. Don't know if that was the case here. I can tell you, though, that 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee that they stole from this individual, who, by the way, thankfully is okay, was just dropped off somewhere. Apparently they didn't want the car. Bring it back here into the city. New York City council members questioning a no-bid contract that involves Rikers Island.
The council's committees on criminal justice and contracts held an oversight hearing centered around the Keefe Group that manages commissary operations at Rikers Island. Council members say in 2022, products purchased through the Keefe Group were priced higher than at supermarkets, and paid orders were not arriving to people in custody. When asked about that, a Department of Correction official responded saying they were coming out of the pandemic and had fewer people on site to provide commissary services. They went on to say Keefe did not have any supply chain issues at the time. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
And pharmacy chain CVS has launched this phone app program at some Manhattan stores so customers can unlock those cabinet shelves that have been secured to prevent shoplifting. There is nothing more annoying, by the way, and I'm sure this is the case with you, to show up at that store or any of the other places where they lock up stuff and just want to get like a tube of Colgate and have to ring that doorbell that sits above the case to wait for a worker to come and unlock it. And I'm sure it's incredibly annoying for the workers as well. They'd much rather be doing stuff like stocking shelves.
It's really annoying, actually. Like, I just went in to get like a bag of candy, and I had to find someone with a magnet to like unlock like this.
Bags of candy are locked up too? I didn't know that. That's not in my store. It's like razors, shaving cream, deodorant, shampoo, all of that's locked up, and you got to wait for somebody to come unlock it. So this CVS idea, which seems like a good one, customers can now use the new app at CVS stores. They're testing this out. This is the Lexington and Amsterdam Avenue stores, I think on Bleecker Street as well, where you log into the CVS app, and then you just hold up the phone to the lock, and it'll unlock the cases, so then you can take the items yourself, which seems like a good way around having to go call these people, ring the doorbell, and they go like, you're needed in the deodorant aisle. So let's hope this thing catches on, it works, and they spread this to every store.